Charles Michael Kittredge Thompson IV is an American singer, songwriter, and guitarist who was born just over a month before I was born. He was the frontman of the Pixies, and he used the stage name Black Francis for that. When they broke up in 1993, he started a solo career under the name Frank Black, uh, during which period he released 3 albums. From 1997, he was the frontman of the band Frank Black and the Catholics, and in that stint, 7 albums were released, I believe. There was then an album called Frank Black Francis, which is a bit of an anomaly, which holds kind of retrospective stuff and reworkings of other things. From 2005, he then released 3 more albums as Frank Black, and from 2007, 3 more solo albums as Black Francis. And just to complete this, in 2011, an album called Paley and Francis was released, which was him and Reed Paley. He's also had 5 Pixies albums in their first stint of existence and 5 more since they had a reunion. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second solo studio album by Frank Black, and it's my first encounter with him. I didn't know who he was. I'm not particularly a fan of the Pixies. That doesn't mean I dislike them. It's just that I'm not particularly aware of them very much. I'm sure there'll be some of their stuff on this list as I get through. So Wikipedia and Acclaimed Music both label this as alternative rock. I'm happy with that, but I think that's quite a broad description, and it's my job to dig deeper, so I'm going to dig deeper than that. It's quite varied, and it ranges from the first track, which is quite punky and angular and discordant, the track What Happened to Pong, to the more kind of gentle pop rock of Sir Rockabye. Generally, I would say that this has stuff in common with pop and stuff in common with punk, but not, if I say pop punk, as I've said, a kind of the tagline at the top, I think that gives the wrong idea, because I think that pop punk is generally a bit like punk, but more polished and quite catchy. Whereas this isn't quite as polished as you might think from pop punk, but it has kind of some pop rock sensibilities in there. It's kind of fairly immediate, and it's quite easy to recognise, and at times has got things that you might be able to sing along with. I would say also that I was very strongly reminded at times of Lou Reed, particularly in his vocal delivery. So the half singing of Ole Mulholland was particularly strong, but there's quite a lot where it's just got that kind of the timbre of his voice is quite Lou Reedy, if I can use that as an adjective, which is kind of a nice a laconic feel to it. My favourite song is probably White Noise Maker, which for some reason the lyrics have kind of hit me very quickly on that. It's quite a long album, over an hour. There's 22 shortest songs, so it's got quite a variety of things going on. It has got this kind of, as I say, a bit less polished feel, but with that comes a more energetic feel than some things. It feels kind of quite bombastic, as in it is kind of totally aggressive and in your face, but it's certainly got a good deal of confidence to it, and with that a certain kind of roughness around the edges, which is generally, I would say, in a good way. I think it works on this occasion. So lyrically, I mentioned White Noise Maker. I didn't actually pick up a lot of the lyrics from most of the songs, but when I did, I found them interesting. They were quite rewarding. I find that I'm sure that most people find this. There's some music you listen to and immediately you're listening to the lyrics. There's some music you listen to and actually you don't tend to listen to the lyrics very much. And I think the majority of music is like that. And I don't necessarily pick up a lot about the lyrics from stuff. I have come across people who claim that they never hear the lyrics at all. They pay no attention whatsoever. I think this is definitely a thing. So overall, interestingly, it didn't make a lot of impact. And what I do is I listen twice. The first listen, it just kind of floated over me. It was okay. The second listen, Actually, I got a little bit more, but not. I kind of felt like not a huge more, and I was going to give this a mark in the sixes. But actually, as I write my notes, I tend to put stuff back on again. So when I say things get two listens, they kind of get two and a half listens sometimes. And as I was writing the notes and listening to stuff whilst I was writing it, I was actually getting more out of it. So I, I'm kind of going to take this to mean that this is probably a grower. It's probably an album that as you listen to it more, you'll get more out of it, but it doesn't necessarily have an immediate impact. So I have, as I was writing the notes, I spontaneously elevated that mark that was in my head of about 6.7, 6.8, and it's gone up to 7.1 as a result of kind of a little bit of reappraisal. So that's what I think of this album. As always, I'm going to invite you to tell me what you think of the album. So please do so by uh, picking up your fingers, your thumbs on your phone, and leaving me a comment. I love to read people's comments. The next review that's going to be on this channel is of the Elton John album Tumbleweed Connection. But that's it for me for now.
Hey, sleepy monster.